My name is LauralcCarr, and I am a group benefit consultant. Part of my consistency with clients is to always make information available. I want to always source the best information from the best people in the industry, which leads us to Laural. I first met Laural about this time last year, and I think we became fast friends. And she is one of my go-to people for everything with regards to marketing. She had something really interesting to say when we first met. She said, marketing doesn't need to be difficult. It could be easy. It's about being strategic and working with your strengths. And in working with Laural, she's helped me identify what those strengths are and how to bring those and bridge those into my business. So today we're going to be talking about how to reimagine our business based on our strengths. Laural, take us through a little bit about yourself and a bit of history.
We won't go through all 30 years of my history. You guys already know enough about me from this, but have been working in the strategic marketing area for a long time, based on the fact that when I would work for organizations and they were looking to, what I would say, order something from me, they could never tell me why they needed it. And I was frustrated that they were doing things for not with not the right intentions or not a clear why. They were doing things because it was the only thing they knew how to do. So I wanted to get to the heart of why they should do things based on who they were communicating with. And so I have, from early days, been very focused on speaking to your best client, communicating with your best client, and that's really at the core of everything we do. Understanding who your best client is, how to get more, and to the reason you have great clients is because of who you are, and to bring that out and let people know who you are is essential to attracting more clients like your best clients.
And the identity of the best client is a bit of an eye-opener, and you realize how much time is spent on clients that are not the right fit for you. When you go through that identification process with you, it really is an eye-opening experience as to how your business will change and blossom to accommodate those right fit clients, as you like to say. Marketing and branding has changed a lot over the last number of years, but most especially in the last year. Take us through some of those changes and how that's been applicable to our various businesses.
I really feel for the businesses that were prevented from having an online presence. And I speak specifically to people like James and Wilma and people who are in the financial services area, where there's a lot of compliance obstacles to having a free-flowing conversation that maybe, through digital media, or being able to have a customized website that really spoke to who you are and who your clients are. And I think that the one thing that, besides, we all got like 500 hours back in the last year, the one thing that people have really needed to do is to up their game digitally. So whether that's connecting like this, like networking digitally. I mean, you can't, or yes, you can give $1,000 certificate to order dinner, but you can't actually get them out. Those face-to-face kinds of interactions have been, just taken away from us. So I think being able to network, and I see that my internet is unstable, so I'm just going to turn my video off for a second. I think that being able to have a network, being able to connect with your network over the last year, and to continue to get your messaging out has been critical for every kind of business. I personally focus on service-based businesses, but for bricks and mortar too.
I think too, you make a really good point about having that face-to-face and not being shy about the Zoom, not being shy about those virtual meetings, whether you're using the Microsoft Teams or Zoom or some other form of a platform. The ability to have that face-to-face has been instrumental in keeping those connections going and making sure that people feel that they are connecting with you likewise. Who stands out as a bit of an example of what to do in these times? We always like those kinds of examples. I mean, I've always gone to what's Disney doing? Go big or stay home, right? So what's Disney doing in these times? They kind of let me down the last year. So who really does? Apple is another go-to. What's Apple doing? What are they doing with their marketing? How are they, other than putting out a foolish song on an ad the last couple of weeks, I haven't really seen anything that's motivating me. So if I can't look to the big guys as an example, who are we looking at as an example of what to do to motivate and accelerate this time period?
Well, I think the beauty of this time is that those large organizations are harder to shift. So for all of us who are here and who I know are more in the boutique organizations, we have the most ability to be nimble and to, the first questions I got in the first couple of weeks when we went into initial lockdown was, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? From clients, from colleagues. And it's like, do whatever you can for whoever you can. And it really makes you have to dig deep and say, okay, I'm not just a strategic marketer, but suddenly I'm a Zoom facilitator. Suddenly I'm helping people show up on video. Whatever it took, I was able to step into that because I had the flexibility to do that. So I really think it is our time to shine for anyone here who's in a more of a small, nimble business, because we can take our services to anyone, anywhere. I know, look at all the people who are here from all over. So grateful to have you here. So that would be my advice, Laurie, is always to see what you can offer to whoever you can offer it to.
The first thing is to be responsive and to come up with a plan. What would be the number one thing or the first thing when you first sit down with somebody and they go, you know what, I don't even know what to do right now. I'm doing this, this, and this, and this, but they feel like they're on the merry-go-round going round and round in circles. And one, they don't know how to get off the ride. And two, they don't know how to get anybody on the ride with them. What do you say?
Wow, that is such a great image, Laurie. And I see that a lot. And it's actually why we created a masterclass called the First Best Action Planner, because we saw people just frozen in action, right? Not taking action. And we wanted to make it easy for people to take action, but you need to have a goal. You, small or large, you need to have a goal. And you need to be able to keep that at the center of your mind as you're moving through the steps. And Laurie already knows my analogy about the slingshot. If you want to aim over there, you're going to get there easier and faster if you take a breath, draw back, face your target, identify your target, draw it back, and then release it while you are focused on that target. Not, oh, if I just get it halfway there, partway there. No, you can do those steps, those partial steps, but you've got to keep your eye on the bigger goal. And honestly, Laurie, you've done all of that in creating this platform, these weekly SHifT conversations. And there's so many of you here who have done some really amazing things under really difficult circumstances.
Well, thank you for that. What's an interesting trend that you're seeing right now in marketing that perhaps you hadn't seen before, but is starting to gain ground?
I love that somebody can show up on TikTok and create a whole new fashion brand overnight. And that's just one example of, it could be on any different kinds of social media, but we're not, the owners of the media are not controlling what people are digesting now. And I know Wilma, for instance, is a really big reader, and I would just, I just can't wait to see her put some of her thoughts of what she's reading and share that out there. And I think video, and I think Zoom had, or virtual meetings on video have helped people become more comfortable on video, because that's really where we need to show up. We need to show up on social media on video. We need to show up on video for meetings like this, for one-to-one meetings. Getting yourself there is essential, and you can make a huge difference.
I agree. I think consistency is a must. One of the things that I find that you can get lost down those rabbit holes of social media. Anybody here in the room that I'm afraid to take on one more, because you're never going to see me again. That's it. I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be lost in Tron or the Matrix or whatever, because I can't get out. So, there's so much choice in what is going to be your social media platform. And I believe it was you who said, pick what you like, pick your go-to and be the best at that. Is that advice that is common, or should we have a mild presence on everything, and how much time to spend on any of these things?
That is like such a loaded question. I would say that ideally you should show up on the social media where your clients are, where your prospects are. And that could be different for everyone here. And some social media platforms are better for what I call, B2C, business to consumer type sales. Other, like LinkedIn, is certainly better for professionals. And, Facebook is like more community oriented. So when I said TikTok, I wasn't expecting all of you to run out and start being on TikTok. I'm just saying that it's new, and in a very short time, it is quickly taking over in a certain generation, right? So there's a certain generation of people who are all over that. So you need to look at where are your people. And I often tell people to do a little survey and ask your clients which social media platforms they use, even if they use it personally. But that's, that will give you a good idea of where you need to put your content.
I absolutely agree. I didn't put you on the spot there to say that you were saying we all need it to be on TikTok, but I'll give you a little bit of how I've applied Laural's advice. So I have a referral that comes into me. The first thing I do, of course, is thank the person who provided that referral. I reach out to that referral, but I don't just reach out to them by email and by phone anymore. Now I make sure that I've connected with them on LinkedIn, and I make sure I send a private note on LinkedIn or wherever they are. So if they are on Facebook, or if they are, but I'll track them down through that all-knowing Google search, and I will make sure that they're able to see my digital resume. And that has helped to create that relationship builder, or trust, if you would, because they have an opportunity to get to know what I put out as the best of me prior to us actually engaging. And I have found that incredibly useful this last year. Have I applied your advice correctly there?
100%, Lori. And we used to say, the diamonds are in your backyard, but I'm going to tell you right now, the diamonds are in your DMs, your direct messages. Be on top of your direct messages and look for a message from me to all of you later.
The other thing that I've started to do, and see if anybody else, I know there's quite a few in the room that I often engage with on social media and want to continue to do so. But if I find interesting content, so for instance, today I found some interesting content, and I knew for sure that Nicole and I are going to think the same thing about that. Now, I would say Dave and Mike would also be really interested in it. So now I think I'll probably will share that out on social media, but I will tag them to create that conversation. Because if it's interesting enough that it's made me last more than the 10 seconds of scanning it, then there's probably somebody or somebody you've just recently met that you want to do business with, but that might help them as well. And I'm enjoying that part of social media like I've never enjoyed that before, because I always saw it as such anybody else, hands up in the room, anybody else who saw social media as a bit of a chore rather than, yeah, Leanne, same thing. Yeah. So for me, working with Laural, it's to find out how can it make me happy and how is it now a joy instead of a chore. So, and that's a process, right? Like you've taken me through a number of processes to get to that point.
I love a comment I heard about the 3 I's of social media. The first I is, can I share this information with someone? So if it's a scroll stopper for you, who else can you share that with, right? So sharing information. Who can I introduce to this information, or who would be a good introduction for someone that I've met recently on social media? And the other is, so we have, sorry, I'm losing my eyes. So we have information, introduction, and invitation. So Lori's set it up really well, that she has it set up really easily on LinkedIn, that if I'm tagged in one of her events, I can share that invitation to that event, which just for those people who, are on social media on a regular basis, it's a really easy thing to do. And I'm sure a number of you are here because I shared it on LinkedIn. So thank you.
What's the first step in making a difference in your business strategy?
Oh, wow. I think I recently heard that success is 5% strategy and 95% mindset. And I know Leanne knows what I'm talking about here. So I think that it starts with being open to being motivated by something deeper than demographics or what's the revenue going to be on the other side of this. Like, I really think comes from like, what's your passion, what motivates you, what drives you. I know like Jennifer's like me is very familiar with Kolbe, and that's a tool that we use to help people connect with what they're really passionate about. I know that was a big eye-opener for you, Laurie, when we worked together. So I think I would say that's, as much as I'd love to say it's all strategy, as a strategist, I really look for somebody who's willing to connect and be open to what they really want to put out in the world.
What's changed in your business and how you do business, and how you're going to keep that as it applies to marketing?
Leanne, I'm not mentioning any names, Leanne.
How did I know that you guys were going to point me out? And I'm like battling my zoo in the background, so I'll apologize if you hear all of the animals. My entire business, has pivoted completely because I had no choice, because I was in the realm of fitness, and of course we were not allowed to do any in-person teaching. But interestingly, now the way that my business is structured is completely virtual, and I'm not going back to in-person because of the opportunities that because of the way that I pivoted, now it has changed, and we've created an entire movement around movement, which I'm so excited to share with people next week when we're back here. But yeah, it's I think the thing for me, and Laural, I know you'll get this too, is just focusing on what can I do, not what is not available for me to do. A lot of people, and that comes back to the mindset piece, right? Like, a lot of people have been really hyper-focused on the limitations and the restrictions. And of course, all of those things we have to be aware of, and they're reality. So we're not going to dismiss them, but there is opportunity to look into a different way of doing things. And if you're willing to look into a different way of doing things, it can be very exciting. It has been very exciting for me. I never imagined that my business would be running in the way that it is right now, had COVID not happened. And had I not started looking for, what ways can I provide movement for people that within the restrictions.
You're an excellent example, Leanne, of that slingshot, because that slingshot, that pulling back, is the investment in you. It's not a full stop, if you would, but it is a pause to take stock. And then you have to invest in it. And I know Leanne, and we'll talk about this next week. So Leanne's going to be on next week to talk specifically about this pivot. It's that enormous risk that you took in pulling back that slingshot with your eye on the goal and being able to create something that you won't find anywhere else when it comes to the fitness sphere. So if you're interested in finding out just how she made that pivot a success, don't forget to come back next week. So that's a little plug for both of us. But it is an excellent example of, some of us have made smaller shifts while others have really pulled back and said, okay, I'm still in this industry, but now I'm not worried about my competition anymore. This is where I'm going, and this is what I'm doing.
It's all about being competitor proof. It's all about monopoly of mind share. If you are the person who people, you're in front of the right people with the right message, they are going to think of you, and they're going to either refer to you or direct those 3 eyes to you. So that's how I look at it, is you don't have any competition. There's nobody like you. The way you do things, the things you've discovered over the last year that maybe have sustained you are things that you can share.
When it comes to marketing, Laural, especially as we've moved into this new era, what's the one question? And what's the one question that you get asked over and over again, but yet the message is still not going through to the average entrepreneur or business owner?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I get asked a lot if I can help people to identify their weaknesses. And I'm really I am super definite about the fact that people don't have weaknesses. Everyone has those things that they should lean into and those things they should lean out of. But if we keep our mind in that place of we're missing something or we have a blind spot, that's not a good mindset space. So I like to really help people see what they authentically bring to the table, what's their unique value proposition, and really build on that.
I have a question, and it's in regards to Kolbe. I did it years and years ago. I have to dig it up. I can't remember what I actually am. But how do you use that without asking your prospect what their Kolbe is, or asking them to go through the process? Like, is there a way that we can use information through Kolbe to identify what our prospect is like? This could be a massive question, but
no, it's a great question.
In 30 seconds or less, Laural.
In 30 seconds, I would, every one of my clients has a Kolbe. So it is part of our process. So we need to know how they will naturally take action. I can create a strategy, but it's, if I create a strategy for a vegetarian and you're a meat eater, like, you're not going to be able to execute it. So what I'm looking for is a strategy. The most important part of your strategy is to do it, to be consistent and keep doing it. So I want to find a way to match the strategy with my clients' natural ways of taking action. On the other side, Nicole, by having now done many, many, many years of clients' Kolbes, I do recognize a certain pattern of client that chooses to work with me. And because I understand my Kolbe and what I bring to the table, I step into their team in that role where they have a lack or a gap within their team, and I just fill that role for them. So that's 2 different ways that we use Kolbe, both for our clients, and for and help our clients implement it within their team, so they understand who their clients are. Do they need a lot of detail? Are they looking for simplicity? Whatever. And Jennifer, yes, Jennifer.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could add to that.
Well, I think it comes into the marketing too, because in my former career, I was in a very entrepreneurial technology services company, and our clients were lawyers. So we were like from different tribes, and we always wanted to talk about the vision and where things were going and the process, and lawyers are fact finders, right? So they're very long on fact finds. So we had to learn to translate our messaging and our value proposition in their context, which was really challenging.
It's an interesting point that you bring up, Jennifer, and Nicole and Laurel. You said something here. You said you now recognize where they are on the Kolbe scale, clients who will naturally come to you. So that leads me to think that you have adjusted your marketing to attract that particular.
100%. I advise everyone to put your marketing not in the tone and style that you operate in, but you need to speak in the tone and style that your clients can hear, right? Either spoken or written or whatever format.
We're working with Laural and very impressed with Laural. And when we all did the Kolbe, we're 4 partners that a French girl, an Irish, an Indian, and another
Sri Lankan.
Okay, so 4 different. And when the Kolbe came back, it was amazing. We had no idea. I mean, we had our gatherings, we chatted, but the personalities came out, and that certainly put things in perspective in the business, and that gave us another vision as well. And it was amazing, and Laura was able to get that out of us and for us to move forward. So if you haven't done it, I strongly recommend to do it. And I don't want to keep putting a plug here, Laura, but it's your hour, and that was amazing, among many other things.
Don't you find, Suzanne, that it's really helped you have conversations within your team so that you're all on the same page, and then be able to, like Jennifer said, you're working with a particular type of person because they're detail orientated, and you understand that about yourself. So you're not going to go after, somebody who's perhaps a photographer. I'm just going to pick on a photographer, for instance.
But what it did for us as well is we all had titles, and it actually what's the word I'm actually trying to say here? It reconfirmed for us who was doing what, that they were in the proper job.
Dave and I have talked about this years ago. He's probably one of the first people who gave me that advice, and I'm going to say that's almost 10 years ago, Dave, where you and Tyler had a good look at who your clients were and made a decisive decision and how that impacted your business. Can you perhaps share that if you're comfortable?
I think it was 2010. We went through a program. We're in the financial industry, so obviously we get access to quite a few programs through our suppliers. And one of them was just a really spreadsheet look at all your clients, and you had to rank them and how much money you made from each client and the effort and the hassle factor. And one of the things that came out of it all is the old 80-20 rule. We were probably paying about 80% of our clients just to be clients, when we figured out the impact on our time, our assistants' time, our associates' time. And so we basically, looked at those clients and found some other advisors and moved those clients on to an advisor that was probably more appropriate. So it is the 80-20 rule for us, but it let us then turn around now and focus on, we had something like 650 families, and we went down to 160 families. And just all of a sudden, we have lots of time. We're doing better service for those clients. We're also then dedicating to the type of client we want to attract. So we're kind of picky. And it's weird. You do that, and all of a sudden, the kind of clients you want just start showing up. And so we're not great marketers per se. I mean, we're working on that, but it became more just to make sure there was just a message that this is the type of advisors we are, and these are the types of clients that we work best with, and it just filters through over time.
I know when you did it, my first question to you was, are you sure that giving up that income, and you had said, yeah, you know what, it was a bit of a nerve-wracking experience, but you were able to, because you're dealing with the just right clients, you were able to recoup that back within a short period of time. Nicole and I have talked about that as well, because I know Nicole has gone through that similar kind of exercise. And again, Nicole, you did that with enormous success.
I call that simplify to multiply. And I've done a couple of blogs recently about pruning for better growth, because what I'm seeing with our clients is that same thing that Dave was saying, that they're letting go of the wrong fit clients so that they focus on the right fit clients, and that makes that they're able to add more service and more be more customized and attract more clients like their best clients.
Understanding yourself and who you serve and how you can be the best at what you want to be.
I just want to thank you all for coming, and Laurie for inviting me. It's been it's so great to share this concept that marketing does not need to be hard, and that it really is about knowing the message, the value proposition that you bring to the table, and knowing how to articulate that to the people you want to attract.
Thanks everybody for coming in. As most of you know, this is the best time of my whole week, and it's the fastest half hour ever. Thanks for the show opener, Laural. That was great. I'm going to steal that book from you. And to everybody here, I hope you will connect with somebody you've never met with before. Have that virtual coffee, and remember to come back. Have yourself a great rest of your day, and thanks again.